Jeff Zito, and welcome to another episode of Celebrity Jobber. You know, there are a certain number of events that happens to each and every one of us, which determines what we're going to end up doing. Those number of events might not have happened to you yet. I'm still kind of waiting for mine. But I do remember being in college, and I had a TV production class, and I needed an internship at a mass media company, and I tried for the local news, and then I tried for a local radio station. I called the local news station, and they were looking for people with experience, not taking any interns. So then I called a local radio station, and they were accepting interns, but they were full. And my best friend told me a couple days after that he got an internship over at the local radio station. I said, well, what the hell is up with that? I called, and they said they were full. And he said, yeah, I got the internship. So I called that radio station, and I said, hey, what's going on? My friend got an internship. You told me it was full. And they go, all right, well, you can be an intern too. So I kind of talked my way into the radio station. And from there, I kind of just was hanging around the right people at the right time. And there was a guy that didn't show up one night from midnight to 6 a.m. And they looked at me and they said, yeah, you're kind of funny, kid. You want to go on the radio tonight at midnight? And I did, and I was terrible. And but I think about if it wasn't for that series of events that happened in my life, what the hell would I be doing? Really, could have been anything. My brother's in the golf business, and I tried to follow in his footsteps before I realized that customer service and the elderly weren't really strengths of mine. Tried to get into investment banking, and after failing the Series 7 test 3 consecutive times, kind of figured out that wasn't in my wheelhouse. Our next guest was kind of born into celebrity. His father managed grocery stores. His mother was a social worker and a homemaker. Well, that doesn't sound like a family full of celebrities. But his brothers and sisters, they're almost all in show business. Most of them are comedians. And I first became aware of our next guest by the show In Living Color, which was a sketch comedy show on Fox in the very early 90s, produced by his brother, Keenan Ivory Wayans, and starring a lot of his siblings and also Jim Carrey, Tommy Davidson, and more. From the hilarious Wayans family and films like Mo Money, Scary Movie, White Chicks, Little Man. Ladies and gentlemen, Marlon Wayans, our guest this week on Celebrity Jobber.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man. I got to tell you, man, I was watching the clock and the second hand hit zeros, and it was like, boom, the phone lights up. I was like, look at this. Right on time. Usually talking to like rock stars, and we have a saying called rock and roll time. You know, it's like whenever they get around to giving you a call, but it's like black time with drugs. I can imagine, though, you know, chatting with me, people aren't checking that off as like the highlight of their day. So I mean, I can understand that.
I actually checked it off as the highlight of my day. I was actually really looking forward to it.
That's nice of you. I appreciate it. So
I was like, because all these rock and roll guys gave you issues, and I want to personally absolve you of all those issues. You're wonderful. You're valid.
Well, thank you.
And your love.
You know what? It's like the old Stuart Smalley bit on Saturday Night Live. I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And gosh darn it, people like me. I feel better already. You ever think about being a life coach?
No. I thought about it, but then I thought, I haven't even gotten my life to where I want it. So how am I going to coach other people?
Oh, man.
I can't coach you to success. I could coach you to all-rightness. And that's good enough.
I don't know, man. It seems like you've got this thing called life figured out pretty good. You must be a overachiever.
Oh, no, it keeps making twists and turns. It gets really interesting when you hit my age. I'm 50, so now people are dying, and you're like, oh, wow, I guess that theory didn't work. Let me try something else.
You were born in New York City and one of 10 kids. I mean, and you were the baby, correct?
I'm the victim. In a family full of comedians, that's what you are. You're the butt of the joke. You're the baby in most families.
Did you not get away with a lot of stuff by being the youngest because all your brothers and sisters have already gotten in trouble for stuff before?
No, they got away with doing evil stuff to me because it took me a long time to learn to talk.
Really?
Yeah, actually, it's funny. When I went to school, we were so bad. Our family was notoriously bad in school. So as soon as I come in and they see Wayans, they're like, oh, no, not another one. Here's your seat right here for when you disrupt the class.
You already had a bad reputation before things even got started for you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Teachers knew. Having another Wayans is going to be a problem. Because we didn't use school as school. School for us was an audience. So it was just for us to practice material.
Well, you went to one of those performing arts schools, right? Like where Fame was based.
Yes, and they had no idea what they were in for. That was the school that my brothers, nobody went to except me.
Really?
When I went there, they was like, what the hell is this? And then they seen In Living Color and all the stuff my brothers did, and they go, oh, okay, I get it now.
So when you went to that school, what were your aspirations? It's a performance-based high school. Did you want to be into comedy or do other kind of performing?
I always wanted to be an actor. I wanted to be able to do it all. I wanted to be able to do characters. I wanted to be able to do drama. I just love the art of make-believe. So I really wanted to learn how to be funny and but also be good. And now I can mix the two together, and I'm doing stand-up, which gives me the art of presentation and makes me a writer, producer, director every night. I get to make whatever show I want. I can make it crazy. I can make it dark. I can make it light. I can make it sweet. I can make it healing. And I just love that I'm putting it all together now. These are my best years.
Now, when you do comedy clubs, because you shouldn't be doing comedy clubs. You do a handful of them. Do you do comedy clubs to kind of feel out like material? Like, because I know regional, like when you perform regionally, all the jokes that you have don't necessarily translate into all the different regions. So is that a reason that you do the comedy clubs, to try stuff out?
No, I do it because I just love giving the show. I don't care if it's 300 or 3,000. I just like doing the work. And sometimes you feel fun. It's more intimate, and you can improvise a lot more when you're doing those shows in comedy clubs because you get to hear. And yeah, you could try out different things. I like to try stuff out every night. I just have a good time doing it, so I give a show. Are
your parents funny? I mean, I know your brothers and sisters are funny, but are your parents funny? How did this all come into play where your whole family is in comedy?
My mom was really funny when she was mad, and my father had this gift of being very annoying. So he would piss my mom off, and she would say some of the funniest things you've ever heard, and that's where our humor comes from. It's watching my mom curse my dad out.
No way.
And it just made us funny. Oh, yeah.
Your dad was in on it the whole time.
No, he had no idea. He was just annoying. I curse him out. Now that my mom was gone, he annoys me so much, I curse him out. I'd be like, I see why Ma curse you out. You're annoying.
Tell me a little bit about after high school. You go to college. What was your major at Howard?
I studied TV and acting, communication and film. TV and acting I minored in. I always knew I was going to do this. There was nothing else for me. It was either this or be a lawyer, and I hated school, and I was not going to be a lawyer, so I wasn't going to pretend that was going to happen.
So is that the backup plan, be an attorney?
No. And when I found out you have to go to school for 8 years, I was like, yeah, it's either act or bust. I'll just be a really funny homeless dude. I'll really earn them dollars you give me.
What was your first job, Marlon?
I worked in a pizza shop.
Really?
Actually, first me and my brother Sean, we used to collect bottles and cans. And that started with the recycling. And you get 5 cents per can. But if you was in Minnesota, you get 10 cents per can. And me and Sean, we try to convince my parents to move to Minnesota just so we get 10 cents per can.
It's like an episode of Seinfeld. You ever see that one?
No.
Yeah, they drove to like somewhere in the Midwest because the deposit was 10 cents a can instead of 5 cents.
That's funny.
You were ahead of your time.
Yeah, it was.
You ever think about this, Marlon? And probably not, because it seems like you were so focused. This is what you wanted to do your whole life. And you majored in college, you went to a performing arts high school, and your older brothers and sisters were already successful and funny. But have you ever thought, like, if it wasn't for your big break, what your life might be like?
It'd be exactly the same, but a little bit different. I was always going to work until I had my big break. I still haven't even had my big break yet, right? So I'm still working toward my best years are ahead of me. I've done a lot of great stuff. I've done a lot of great stuff, but it's not the greatest that I'm doing. My greatest stuff is now. I'm really completing as an artist. These are my best years. You know what I mean? You take 30 years in developing yourself and you start doing stand-up for now 12 years, and you really learn the art, the science, and the business of comedy. So I feel like these are my best years right now.
Man, I think that's incredible because I always,
because you're like, I thought you peaked 10 years ago.
everybody's one big break away, like everybody's a normal person and everybody's just like one big break away from, becoming a movie star or in show business or, famous for whatever they're famous for. So for you to say that you don't think you've had your big break yet, that's kind of amazing because in my opinion, it was White Chicks.
No, that's one of the things I did in my career, but that wasn't a big break. I had broken way before that. We had Don't Be a Menace. We had Scary Movie. We had, so many, Wayans brothers for 5 seasons. Those are entries, right? But your big break is when, for me, it's the biggest break. It's the tidal wave. That's what I want to serve. Biggest top 10 stars in the world. That's what I'm looking for. Best scripts with the best directors.
Mo Money was one of my favorites. I snuck into the theater to see Mo Money.
Oh, really? I would have snuck you in myself. I'd have got you the bootleg.
Well, I want to apologize to you for that because you missed out on my $7 or whatever it was back then.
I wasn't making back end back then, so we duped the man, me and you. That's what we did. We got the man. We stuck it to the man.
You find it difficult today, Marlon, to do your comedy because things have changed so much over the last, forget 20 years, but over the last 5 years. The world has changed, and people don't laugh at things they used to laugh at years ago. Do you find that difficult to kind of navigate in your business?
Actually, no. It's really easy to make people laugh. People are hungry for laughter. People are hungry for dark comedy. People they want you to keep it real. This social media has done poisoned everybody to think that we live in this society where Gen Z is telling us that everything is the same and we have to all be one, and that's not the America I live in. I'm gonna have a different opinion and I'm gonna express it, and I'm gonna have a great time doing it.
I'm so interested in comedy, it fascinates me, and I
go to a comedy club and you'll see there's not a lot of oohs and ah and you can't say that. That's all social media, and the media being stupid enough to pick up on what the social media is saying, and all they're doing is making a narrative that's not true. We live in America, and I'm going to have my opinions, and I'm going to make fun, and people are now thirsty for the kind of humor that we have, and I'm going to keep doing it. That's what I'm put here for.
Can you tell me a little bit about In Living Color and, how that experience was for you? Do you still touch base with Jim Carrey, other guys that were on the show that weren't in your family, Tommy Davidson, David Allen Greer?
Yeah, some of those guys I see often. I see them. We're always doing comedy. Jim, if we see each other, we hang out and stuff and always talk, and he's always, nice. We're always going to be family, but luckily my family was In Living Color, so I see those guys all the time.
Yeah, that is.
And it was, for me, it was comedy college. You know what I mean? It was one of the best things for me as a young up-and-coming talent was to be around all those talented veterans and learn what it takes to put in the work to actually become what you want to become.
Who's the funniest member of your family? I know you think you are?
My mother.
Your mother is?
Hands down. She was the funniest Wayans there was. We will all tell you.
What about of the kids?
We don't compare each other.
No. That's cool. There's no...
We all have a different superpower.
Right.
So it's hard to tell. You know what I mean? We all do a lot of things great. So I think, we don't fight like that. Nobody wants to be better than anybody else. We just want to be our own individual selves and be the best Marlon I could be. Do
you want to do stuff outside of comedy? I know there was a movie role that you did. Was it Requiem for a Dream, where it was definitely a departure for you, not being having a comedic role. But I was just reading about something that you're doing with, is it Jason Bateman and Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, about the executive who tried to sign Michael Jordan Tell me about that.
Yeah, that's a really good movie. It's a really good movie, and I can't really talk about it because I'm sworn to privacy, to secrecy. I'll just tell you that Ben Affleck is a really amazing director, and it was really a great experience. And I'm looking forward to the outcome of the project. And I can't speak on it; it's not mine. You know what I mean? I can talk about The Curse of Bridge Hollow, which is out on Netflix right now.
Yeah,
which is my movie that just dropped 2 weeks ago. I could talk about that, but I don't want to misspeak and we cut out the movie.
I got you. I just found it extremely fascinating and a great concept, and I was just wondering how far, before we would be able to see it, how long before we could see it.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm not on the inside of that. I did my work and I moved on. I'm not a producer on it, so I don't know all that schedule and all that, and I don't want to talk about something that I don't know and put out bad information and get cut out of a movie.
I don't want that.
Like, Dad, man, if I'd have just shut my mouth, I'd still been in that movie, that great movie that he's talking about. But also, this, I've been trying to do more drama, whether it's that my stint on Bel Air that I did where I played Will's dad, the character's dad, or if it's On the Rocks where I play, the leading man. And, I've been trying to just do as much as I can to keep my career diverse and always find a new way of working on being excellent.
You were just talking about the Netflix movie, The Curse of Bridge Hollow, and that came out, a couple of weeks ago?
2 weeks ago, and it was number one for a while, in top 10, and it's a really good Halloween movie. It's where all the Halloween decorations in the town come to life, and me and my daughter have to band together to save the town and save the world. And it's so funny because I'm with it's Priya Ferguson in the movie with me, and all the kids is like, man, you in the movie with the girl from Stranger Things with Erica? And I'm like, no, she's in the movie with Shorty from Scary Movie. They're like,
what about this other show that you have? This is really fun because I always watch those YouTube videos where these guys hear like these classic rock songs for the first time and their reaction is like, whoa, and it's like kind of crazy. It says, oh hell no, with Marlon Wayans, and you have friends that you put into the world of virtual reality, and I can imagine some reactions from this.
Yeah, the metaverse headset, and we find out what their biggest fear is, and then we take them through a virtual experience and scare the hell out of them. And it's called Oh Hell No, and it's on Facebook. I got like 14 million views right now, so check it out. People are really enjoying it. The first one's with Anthony Anderson, who's a good friend of mine, and then we have Kelly Rowland, Lonnie Love, and a few others that we're gonna scare the hell out of, and it's called Oh Hell No. And I think I called it that just because I like to hear white people go, oh, hell no.
I think Lonnie Love, she's got a little thing for me just on the inside, me and you talking here.
I got next.
I felt it. I felt a good vibe between us when I met her.
We're going to have to fight first. That's all me, buddy. That's all me.
Oh, man. It's so good to talk to you, man.
You too, brother.
You're a real cool guy, man. And, when, like I said, I'm sure you didn't mark this on your schedule today, like this is going to be the highlight of your day. But, it's just cool when you can get to know people, on a personal level, and they tell you a little bit about their life and growing up. And that's really cool, man. So I appreciate you taking the time. And your story is a little different than most. You were talking earlier about being on a groundbreaking sketch comedy show In Living Color with Jim Carrey and David Allen Greer, Tommy Davidson, of course, your brothers and your sisters. And that was very early on in your career. And you referred to it as like a comedy college. But, comedy clubs I find incredibly fascinating because there's some weird ones out there, I was just talking to Stephen Wright last week, and he was talking about his big break being at a comedy club, which was a half Chinese restaurant, half comedy club.
Yeah, that was back in the day.
All right, man. Well, listen, have a good rest of your day. Safe travels, and thanks for talking.
Thank you, my bro.
You got it. Take care, man.
Okay, thank you so much, brother.
So there you have it. Marlon Wayans from the hilarious Wayans family. He's the youngest of 10 children. He says he never had a big break yet. And I don't know if he's just being humble or, he's one of those guys that was kind of born into it. And what's funny about that is when you hear about people being born into celebrity, like maybe like a Paris Hilton, those Kardashians, they were kind of just born into it. This guy, yes, born into it. But look, from the projects of New York City, the youngest of 10 kids, his father managed a grocery store. Wasn't like he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, but the age gap between Marlon, the youngest, and his oldest sibling, his brother Dwayne Wayans, who's 66 years old. So there's a 16-year age gap. So when Marlon Wayans got his start in the movie I'm Gonna Get You Sucka at 16 years old, his brother Dwayne was 32 and his brother Keenan Ivory Wayans was 30 years old, and I believe made that movie, I'm Gonna Get You Sucka. So like his funny family already kind of had a head start, and Marlon being the youngest started at 16 years old. So again, kind of born into the situation. But he said that was going to be it. I mean, he went to that Fame High School in New York City for the performing arts and majored in film and television in college. Kind of interesting that I asked him, if it wasn't for you being an actor or comedian in movies, what you would be doing. He did throw out attorney. Then as he mentioned, being an attorney, a lot of schooling is involved with that. So that quickly became not an option. And it was either be a movie star or bust. Some similarities between Marlon and myself. I have an older brother and sister. My brother's 10 years older than me. My sister's 12 years older than me. And family business, my dad was an architect and actually ran his own business. And me and my brother wanted nothing to do with it. So my brother got into the golf business and I got into the radio business. My sister married a professional athlete, so she was the one who really figured it out. I kind of think Marlon Wayans is right. I don't think he's really scratched the surface yet on what he's going to become. I think he is going to become a major actor, and not just a comedic actor, but I have a feeling that this movie that he's not allowed to talk about with Jason Bateman, Viola Davis, Ben Affleck, and Matt Damon about a sports marketing executive who pursued Michael Jordan in the mid-'80s so he could sign with Nike. I kind of have a feeling that's going to be a big movie for Marlon Wayans. Is it going to be his big break? I don't know. But he says the best is yet to come, and I kind of agree with him. Pretty cool guy. What about you? You ever think about if it wasn't for a certain series of events happening in your life, you might be doing something completely different? Maybe you missed your big break. Oh, there's a lot of those stories out there, right? I could have been a contender. Oh, I could have went pro. Yeah, how much of that is actually true? But who knows? The series of events that take you to where you are now. We all have that in common. So that's it. Another edition of Celebrity Jobber is in the books. If you get a chance to give me a rating or a review on Apple Podcasts, I would surely appreciate that. And until next time, I'm Jeff Zito. See you next week with another episode of Celebrity Jobber.